YouTube, my name is Danica and today I have a book review for you. So as part of my October Halloweeny themed reads, I wanted to read Haunting on Hill House by Shirley Jackson, or listen to the audiobook. Unfortunately, I kind of got it mixed up with We Have Always Lived in the Castle, and I ended up listening to that in October, finishing Haunting on Hill House in November. The Haunting on Hill House is a story about kind of four main characters, but mostly about the two women of the story. There's Theo. There's a section in Emma Donohue's book Inseparable that talks about Theo and how Shirley Jackson uses kind of coded language to suggest that her roommate is her girlfriend, that they have a book that specifically mentioned that was notorious at the time for having a lesbian relationship in it. What I wasn't expecting is that it's really not that subtextual. It's pretty obvious. Even though there's four main characters, it's mostly about one of them. We kind of follow her the most, and that's Eleanor. So she has been taking care of her dying mother for years and years and years, kind of been stuck and miserable until her mother finally dies. And after that, she gets this letter inviting her to be part of this study about Hill House and all of the weird supernatural occurrences that happen there. So she decides she has nothing else going on for her. She's going to go for it. The beginning part of the book is just her drive up to Hill House and her realization of her total freedom, that she could stop at any point and she could just establish a life anywhere in any of these little towns that she's passing and start over, and she just has nothing to lose. And I think that the most interesting thing about the story was how the characters interact. Shirley Jackson has such a skill at establishing characters that seem human, that seem really real, and especially how they interact with each other, their dialogue. Even though it's not really necessarily realistic, I mean, Theo and Eleanor immediately hit it off. They start having this whole banter pretty much as soon as they meet, which might not really be what happened in real life necessarily, but it seems real in the book. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's just such an interesting dynamic. So I spent the whole book really interested in the two of them and how they play off each other, because Theo is this really boisterous, outgoing person, and Eleanor is much more reserved but starts to just latch on to Theo because she really has had almost no one in her life for years. And then, of course, there is the haunting element of the story, and it's not a horror story. There isn't a lot of really scary parts in the story. There was nothing that really freaked me out, but it was all unsettling. Like, they describe how the house was built with no right angles, that all of the things that look like right angles are actually just a couple of degrees off, so that the entire house is just slightly off, that you kind of have to get your sea legs walking around in the house because nothing is what it should be. And it's things like that, I mean, they're not scary, but it is really weird. One of the things about the audiobook is that even though the rest of the time it's just one person doing the dialogue for everyone, and then every once in a while there'd just be this like little bit of creepy music in the middle of a chapter, and it's kind of cheesy, but at the same time it really helps up the creep factor. Especially the first time it happened, it totally threw me off. I started listening to this expecting it to be lesbian subtext, to be kind of creepy, but it ended up being a lot more of a story about the relationship between these two women, and especially how Eleanor relies on Theo and relies on the house to give her meaning. And when she starts kind of being pushed away by Theo and kind of by the house, she can't really handle it. And it's a really fascinating look into the mind of this character. So I ended up really enjoying the book, especially the dynamic between these two characters. I know I haven't actually mentioned the male characters. Honestly, I can't even remember their names right now. To me, it was all about the two of them. Eleanor is very much the main character, even though you spend the beginning part of the book with the doctor and how he is writing letters and inviting all these people to the house. Very quickly it becomes Eleanor's story. The two male characters kind of are only there to assist in the women's storyline, which is kind of hilarious because that's usually the other way around. So if you're looking for kind of a creepy read in case you are also late to the October party, then I would definitely recommend The Haunting on Hill House. After reading We Have Always Lived in the Castle, I really love Shirley Jackson's writing, so I would recommend either of those, but especially The Haunting on Hill House for the women characters, for the lesbian content. Even though it's not explicit necessarily, it is hard to miss, I'd say. It is all about the relationship between these two women. And as Emma Donoghue pointed out, it was coded that way. You're not reading into it as much as you're just recognizing the clues that Shirley Jackson put for you. And let me know if you've read or listened to any of Shirley Jackson's books and what you thought of them. And thanks for watching.